Today on Inside Story, you will meet a young lady who was honored as one of the top 10 students in her high school graduating class. Against her counselor's coaching, Kristin chose to answer her call from the Lord to attend Charis Bible College. Kristin used her talents to develop and build a successful Livestream volunteer team.
Hello and welcome to another Inside Story, and this is where we just go behind the scenes and show you things that you probably won't ever hear me talk about on our television program or maybe in our newsletters, but great things that God is doing, and we just want to share with you some of the people that God has sent us, some of the things that are happening, and I believe it'll be a blessing to you, especially those of you who are partners with us.
Hello, my name is Carrie Pickett, and I want to welcome you to this edition of our Inside Story. This is in the ministry where we are inviting people that are making an incredible difference to get to know how they became part of the ministry and what they're doing to help us advance the gospel. I'm extremely honored to introduce Kristin Hay to us. Kristin and I have lots of meetings, usually on Zoom, and because you have helped the ministry build this team, so I'm really excited about what you do here in the ministry. And so I want to get to know you. I want our audience to get to know you and what you've helped build here in the ministry. So this edition is on our Livestream volunteer team. Now, the Livestream team is kind of something that's new for the ministry. But before we talk about all that it's doing to help Andrew reach the gospel far and deep, how did you get to know about Andrew Womack Ministries, Charis Bible College?
Sure. So I am originally from Kansas City, and I found Andrew from TV, so from the Gospel Truth program on TV.
Oh, nice.
At the time, this would have been, 10, maybe a little over 10 years ago now. So at the time I was in high school, I was a teenager,
Awesome.
And my mom started watching him on TV, and I got hooked.
That's cool.
Based off of the teaching. So I would drive to high school and be listening to Andrew's audio downloads in my little Honda Civic, and I loved Andrew. So,
really cool.
One of the first teachings that I watched from him was Effortless Change, and in that series he just talked over and over again about Charis, about how, if you really want to be transformed by the Word, there's no better way to do that than to come sit under the teaching. And I knew that was where I wanted to go. I was still like a sophomore in high school, so I had a few years before I could come. I need to finish high school. So I never, I didn't apply to any other colleges or schools. I knew that was where I wanted to go. I had a lot of teachers and well-meaning counselors tell me that was absolutely the wrong decision, that I was throwing my life away. I was missing out on the opportunity for a full ride scholarship or, to have a good career. And, to me, it didn't matter. I knew that was where I was supposed to be. So
that's really cool.
I
know Andrew's always saying, I don't think young people like me, but you are proof that young people like Andrew.
Yes, and honestly, that was before we were kind of marketing to young people. I feel like now our, we show a lot of young people in all of our photos, and there's a ton of young people at Charis now.
Yes, there are.
And it was still, it still hooked me even before then. It was just the message itself.
That is awesome. So you went through Charis, so you moved here, and then how many years at Charis did you do?
I did 3 years, so I graduated second year in 2015 and then did the School of Ministry and graduated that in 2016.
That's awesome. So what from there, had you started to work for the ministry while you were a student, or what transitioned from becoming a student into then serving in the ministry?
Yes, so halfway through my first year I got hired at the phone center, so I applied to be a phone minister. That was not really on my radar at first. I didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not really a phone person.
Who wants to wake up at 4 a.m.?
Exactly, yeah. I'm not very extroverted. But what happened is I was going to school and I just met a lot of people who worked at the phone center, and I felt like they had something that I didn't. They were applying what they were learning in school and good. Seeing testimonies and putting themselves in a position where every single day, whether you feel like it or not, you're kind of forcing yourself to, do I really believe these things that I'm learning? So I decided to go for it and sign up for a challenge. So I applied for that and got hired there. So I've been with the ministry 8 years, and all of that time has been in communication services, not necessarily on the phones. I've kind of jumped around to some different positions. But yeah, started with the phones. That's what got me here.
That's awesome. And you've kind of been through the transition, because we used to have kind of limited hours.
Yes,
and then
yeah.
we started doing weekends with limited hours. And then we just recently went to 24/7.
24/7. It's amazing.
That is a real significant thing for this ministry, because it allows us to touch so many more lives, not just on the weekends, because it used to be, Monday through Friday. And then we're like, now on the weekends. And then, but it was just a certain time. And then it was 24/7. And I remember we told the team, after 24/7, we're good, we're done, we've reached the max. And then I accidentally one time said 25 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they sent me a note, Carrie, don't give us any more time. Anyway, so we're so appreciative of all of our phone ministers and everything that they do, because they are really touching a lot of life. Mm-hmm. So you transitioned to different roles. Where have you landed in this last season? Because that's kind of what we're highlighting today, is this Livestream volunteer team. Can you tell us about what does this team do, and why was it created in communication services?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been doing social media for the ministry for give or take maybe like the last 4 years or so in some kind of capacity. And so when it started, we weren't really live streaming. We were just responding to comments and messages that come in from the public. So, if someone sends us a Facebook message, or they respond to us on Twitter or an Instagram comment, the social media team that's housed inside of comm services is responding to all of those. So several years back, I took on a role where I was the person responding to those messages. And it was just me. I was the only person.
The only person.
Yep.
So how have you seen social media grow from the time you were a student to now? And do you think that's something significant that's happened here at the ministry?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. When we first started, when the Facebook page in particular was kind of handed to us to start responding to. We didn't have a ton of followers. Like I said, we just had one person. That was just my job, is to that's how little there was to do, basically. And so, yeah, to the point now where we're covering different platforms. We've added YouTube, we've added Instagram direct messages. There's just all these different channels of communication that we've continued to add. And then on top of that, we also now serve the other branches of the ministry. So we also moderate or monitor all of the social media for Truth and Liberty, for Gospel Truth TV, for Charis Bible College, and for Army as well.
Wow. So this has been a huge thing. And I know Andrew would say this himself. He's always said, his team has drug him into the 21st century kicking and screaming. So just because the ministry has changed, and the ability to touch more people. So social media has allowed Andrew's vision to go far and deep, to continue to go farther and deeper. So that's really exciting. So have you seen those dynamics of interacting with people? Have you seen us be able to touch more lives?
I would say so, and I think that's probably a good segue into live streaming, because I feel like that, as we've grown more, as Andrew stepped more into live streams, at least for me, being on the back end of actually interacting with viewers in the public, that's the best real-time feedback that you have from people, to see how people are receiving the word. You would be amazed to see how many people are in the chat section saying I was just praying about this topic, and I stumbled across this Bible study, or I've been thinking about this all week, or this is just what I needed. My mom is going through this exact situation, and this is such a word in season. Just to see that real-time interaction where you're it's not like you're just putting things out on the internet in faith that it's touching someone, but you're seeing it actually impact people. That's amazing. So the live streaming, I really feel is now an integral part of our social media content and our strategy, and our ministry to other people. So our team at this point, we do still respond to all those incoming comments and messages on social media, but we also now have a whole other job description, basically, where we moderate all of the live streams.
Yeah.
We're in the chats, and we're interacting with people, praying with people, and that's become really one of our favorite parts of the job.
So what's the vision of why interacting is so important during these live streams? Like, what's the vision of interaction?
I think for a lot of people, they'll never get the chance to come to Colorado. They might never get the chance to see Andrew in person at an event in their area. I mean, we have so many international viewers on. I mean, the majority of our followers on social media are from Africa and from India.
Wow.
And from a lot of countries where they don't have a Charis, you know, they don't have an AWM near them. And this really is their touch point of feeling like they are interacting with like-minded believers, that they are interacting with you and with Andrew and the teachers. Like, to them, it feels very personal and very impactful. Yeah.
So kind of a community vision of creating kind of a community of people that are growing together, hungry together, learning together. So that's really fun.
Yes.
So when did, because we had done a few live streams, but here in the last couple of years, oh my goodness, it just like exploded. Exploded is a very good word. When did you see that kind of change and shift to become more of a focus of the ministry?
I would say definitely when we started with the daily live Bible studies. So that would be in May of 2020.
Yeah.
So kind of a story leading up to that, I guess, is at that point we had the Tuesday night live Bible study,
which was really popular.
Yes.
People loved it. Yes.
We've been doing that for a few years, and my team was also in charge of moderating that and praying with viewers online and all of that. And we had gotten a suggestion from one of our longtime viewers, actually, of using volunteers. Like, why can't we have volunteers help moderate the chat? So Shar on chat, if you're watching, thank you for thank you for your great suggestion. But
that's awesome.
So that had come across my desk, and we were mulling that over. We really liked the idea. And that was probably in January of 2020. So all that to say, it's kind of like the Lord, I feel like, had already begun preparing us for this new season before Andrew announced that he was doing the daily live Bible studies. We'd already been mulling a volunteer program over. We had decided that we wanted, you know, if we stepped out into that we felt like it would be great to gear a volunteer program like that towards Charis students, and specifically distance education students who, you know, are looking for community. You know, they're doing distance ed, so we know they have a computer and internet access and all of that. And so we had already started building out kind of some systems and some training and like rethinking how we would make that work when Andrew announced after COVID hit in spring of 2020 that he would be bringing the daily, the Bible studies daily, so Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And we knew that would be absolutely impossible to pull off with our team the size that it was
the one person
at the time.
No.
Yeah. At that point, I think we had 4 or something, so we were doing better than 1. But yeah, it was just the perfect time to roll out an idea that we'd kind of already been mulling over.
Oh, that's cool. So now, March 2020 was really kind of when COVID kind of hit everywhere, and even here in the ministry. And Andrew's vision to still touch people. So obviously we had our TV and Charis went basically to our platform learning. So all the students were still able to learn and grow. And it was just amazing how God did that. But we saw even at that time how much God prepared. So I love that even in January, God was starting to say, hey, prepare some more team. So that is really cool. Because now, like, it's not just that we went live daily Bible study. So Monday through Friday, different times, you know, Tuesday, Thursday nights, and then Monday, Fridays are kind of mid-morning, and that Wednesday early. There were other live streams that we started as well. It seemed that we kind of geared up on a lot of different things. So this volunteer team that now helps you, how many volunteers currently help moderate and pray for all of the live streams we do?
So currently, as of this filming, we have 39 volunteers, and that is always growing. So by the time this airs, we might have like 50 or something.
Ooh, there we go.
I know. We have 39 volunteers, and they are spread across 16 states, stateside, and then 9 different countries.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which is awesome. And so we handle all the live Bible studies, like you mentioned. We also do the Truth and Liberty live cast, Healing School, the weekly Q&A roundup on Tuesdays, and we do all of our conferences too. So all of the ministry conferences are live streamed, and that includes like home events here in Woodland Park, but also when Andrew travels. So, you know, the Phoenix GTC or Orlando, or even the Grace and Faith live streams that Andrew streams to particular countries. We moderate those as well. So,
and this year he tried to do a live stream to every single Andrew Womack Ministry office in the world, even including our foreign offices. So he's very busy.
Yes.
And you guys,
and we're busy
you
too.
very busy. So you guys also do, in the weeks, we have live streams that we do for like the Charis students. So you mentioned the live stream for Healing School.
Healing School.
But also for Relationship University.
Relationship U, yes.
Yes, we
do
started
that as well.
probably this last year, because before it used to be kind of internal, and now we made it external. What about adjunct teachers? Say when we have an adjunct teacher come in and we live stream that, do you also moderate those?
We actually don't moderate those. So chapels and worship.
Oh, well,
for
now I know what we can add to. We can add to that. So the volunteers that you do have, where do they come from and how do you gather them?
So roughly half, a little over half of our volunteers are distance ed students. That remaining portion are either like stateside students. We have a lot of people doing hybrid school at a stateside campus that volunteer with us. We have some students from international campuses as well. And then some of those volunteers are actually alumni. We have volunteers who have been with us long enough now too that maybe they started with us while they were a student and now they're an alumni. Yeah. So,
so typically they tend to be either current Charis students or alumni that are our volunteer base.
Exactly. So we partner with Distance Ed and World Outreach to send out basically interest emails to those groups of students who are currently enrolled, letting them know about the opportunity. And we go from there with getting people onboarded. So the fact that the distance ed students, like that this is an opportunity we've been able to present to them, that really has been awesome. There's, you know, several volunteers that I've talked to personally who just describe the fact that they like were longing for a more personal connection than what distance ed was able to offer them. Like they were so thankful for the forums and for talking to people while they do their online classes, but that the ability to connect with the other volunteers, because we do Zoom huddles and monthly meetings and parties and things like that, and to have that community of people who are there to that are like-minded and people that, you know, you can call if you need prayer or if you're going through something. They've just expressed how invaluable that is. So to us, it feels awesome that we're not just creating a community for our viewers on the live streams, but that we're also kind of creating this internal community too of volunteers who are able to support each other and be there for each other, and that's been really neat to watch.
You know, one of the things I love about the ministry is I think at this time that we're airing this, I think we have 761 full-time employees here in Colorado, and I think we have 987 globally. But this volunteer team is really special, and I think that that is something that just says that we have this ministry of ministers, this family of ministers that goes beyond just having a job here in Colorado. I love that we're inviting them into the vision to keep touching people's lives.
Yes.
And I like too that it's a dynamic of either current Charis students or alumni, because it means that there is truly kind of a foundation of the word that everybody's like growing in together. That's really exciting. So there might be some of our friends and partners that are watching and saying, oh, I want to be a part of this. Well, we encourage you to enroll maybe even in distance ed and become a student, because we would love to have you be a part of this and just reaching out across the nations. I think it's really neat that we have so many international students and alumni that are a part of this. What is the feedback from our international community?
Kind of along the same lines, like just as an example, we have our largest international country, I guess we have represented on the live stream team is Nigeria. We don't have a school there. We don't have like it's the same kind of thing where it's these are just online students who have gotten a hold of Andrew's teachings And this really becomes a way for them to connect with the viewers, to connect with Charis staff and other Charis students and feel like they're part of something bigger. Kind of a shout out to them too. Like, we have international volunteers who live stream at all sorts of crazy times, their time, because they love the ministry and they want to be a part of what Andrew's doing.
That's
we have
awesome.
a volunteer, Ola, in Nigeria, who she live streams Truth and Liberty, I think at like 3 a.m. her time, like wakes up early to make sure that she's there and is able to serve. We have a volunteer in Cambodia who's 12 hours ahead of Colorado time.
I thought you were going to say they were 12 years old.
Right, yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, but her time zone is so drastically different from us.
Wow.
And she'll sign up for all sorts of conferences, and her name's Changatai. She's awesome. She's one of our leads, actually. So we have volunteers who lead other volunteers, basically kind of like team captains. So yeah, I have really enjoyed personally, especially getting to know our international volunteers, because it helps, you know, even just me here being on staff in Colorado, it helps connect you with that greater vision of how far Andrew's teachings really are reaching and how far the Charis courses, you know, that there's people in countries I don't know how to pronounce that are taking online courses and being blessed by the
awesome.
word. It's mind-blowing.
I think that's the beauty of seeing a vision who's to take the gospel as far and deep as possible, is truly going far and deep.
Yes.
And that's beautiful, not just into nations, but in people's hearts. It's going deep in people's hearts. And so what are some of the testimonies we have received because of the interaction of these volunteers to people? What are some of the dynamics of what they've received, and what has it produced in their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have, I mean, our volunteers are movers and shakers in their own right. Like, we have people, you know, from all different countries, of course, but just they're involved in different careers. We have everything from like stay-at-home moms who are homeschooling their kids and teaching the gospel that way to people who are involved in counseling. We have a volunteer who really has a heart for counseling people who are struggling with addiction, and just hearing her stories of how like she feels so much more equipped now to speak the word over people, to see people be set free, awesome. Is amazing. We have a volunteer in France. His name is Francis, and he lives in France, but he's originally from India, so that's where his family is. And he told me the coolest story. While COVID was going on, his mom had contracted it, and she actually was hospitalized, and things were really bad in India. There was a lot of people dying, and to her it was like very fearful to have gotten this diagnosis and to be in the hospital. And she actually ended up going into a coma in the hospital. So when Francis, our volunteer, got word of that in France, he and his wife decided that they were gonna stand and pray in tongues and praise God, you know, even though that wasn't maybe what they were feeling emotionally. And within a few hours of that, they got news that she was out of the coma, that she was regaining her strength. The doctor had told them that she probably would have like mobility issues or things like because of her nervous system and having gone into the coma, and none of that happened. Yeah, and she was released a few days later. And like there's testimonies like that from all of our team. You know, they are That's people cool. who are taking hold of these Charis courses, they're applying them in their real life, and their time volunteering with us is that same kind of ministry. Like, they have a heart to see these live stream viewers, to see their lives changed. And when they show up to volunteer with us, you know, it's not just like putting in my hours, you know, on the time clock or something, put in my volunteer time. Like, they really are passionate about seeing people healed.
Awesome.
You know, when they're live streaming healing school, or seeing people get set free when they're live streaming daily live Bible study. And so they inspire me with their passion to be world changers. They're awesome.
I've watched different live streams, and you see on the side the chat, and you can see people communicating and talking to each other and different things like that. And not just the moderators interacting with them, but the community of listeners start interacting with each other. And I think that's really cool. I know we had a lady that was always on. We could always count on getting a question from her. And she decided she wanted to go from Charis. So other people supported her, and she's a student in Charis and always comes up at the end of class to ask me a question. So she's great. So there's just this neat community that it starts to create hunger, and then they want more of God. So that's really fun to see. And we have all kinds of people that will come up at conferences and introduce themselves to Andrew, like, oh, I'm so-and-so. And because we start to recognize names and people, and so we try to get as many questions as possible in those live streams. So what do you and the team and the current team, how many people are employees right now on this team? Because you said we had 36 volunteers.
39 volunteers, and then 6 employees in addition to that.
Yes. And so what does the vision of the team, what do they see happening for the future of live streams and social media? Where do you think this is going as a ministry?
Well, we definitely believe that there's still a lot of growth for us. I don't think we've peaked yet. And I know that that's Andrew's heart too. I really believe that Andrew has caught some vision behind live streaming, and so I feel like there's probably even more opportunities that that God will lay on Andrew's heart to continue to do that. And so our goal really is to be ready for that, to have the systems and things in place so that we're ready to grow, we're ready to take on the next initiative or live stream or call-in show or whatever happens. We just really want to be there to support Andrew's vision, and that's really what the volunteers want too. And so when something new comes down the pike, it's easy to go to our volunteers and let them know about it, because that's what they're passionate about. Like, they feel honored to be able to support the ministry. It's amazing.
Well, who knows? We could go to Livestream 24/7.
Maybe. Just
We
a
need more
live feed of everything Andrew's doing.
Completely coming from Colorado. That's fun. That's a good thought. I might have planted something there that we might regret, but it's going to be awesome. Well, I want to thank you because you have been here now for, you said 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
Serving the ministry, and you are actually transitioning into your own business. So we're really excited about that for you.
Thank you.
Actually, we're interviewing you on your last day.
Yes.
And so this is kind of like a thank you
send
interview.
Off, yes.
Send off. But you have a great team that you have helped raise up, and they are ready to take it to another level. So we want to thank you for the foundation that you built and your heart and initiative. I know every time we've done like a Zoom meeting together, you always come with ideas, suggestions, ways to make it better. And so we just want to say thank you for that. And we're really excited about what your team is going to bring to the table. And we're hoping that volunteers continue to give us new ideas.
Yes.
I think they're going to be a huge source of feedback and inspiration so that we can help Andrew. So
I completely agree. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, we're excited for this new venture that you are going into. And as you're leaving, so who's going to be our key person that kind of continues to move and grow with this vision?
Yeah, so the new team lead, her name is Rachel Bowling. She has been on the social media team for several years now. So I've had the pleasure of working with her for a while, and
Awesome.
The social media team is in great hands.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you for all that you have done for the ministry. We're really excited. I'm interested in all of our partners and friends. When you are watching one of our live streams, you're talking to one of these amazing volunteers from around the world that are getting touched with this message. Their life is being changed, and now they get to minister to you. So we encourage you, join all of our live streams. I know Kristin mentioned it. We have our Truth and Liberty. We have our daily live Bible studies. We have Healing School. We have Relationship University. All of our conferences, all of our live stream events. So I believe it's just going to grow and touch more people. So we want to say thank you for all that you do as partners and friends of this ministry. Thank you for equipping us to continue to go out as far and as deep, touch people on so many different mediums and platforms, time zones, and wherever they are. So truly, this message is getting out into the world. So thank you guys so much. We look forward to our next episode of our Inside Story. Please join us as we're going to introduce more behind-the-scene things that are radically and powerfully impacting this world. God bless you and have a great day.
On this edition of Inside Story, Carrie interviewed Kristin Hay from Lenexa, Kansas. God used Andrew to speak into her life as a teenager. Kristin answered the call from the Lord and graduated from the third-year ministry track at Charis. Loving the area of social media opened a door to what God had next for Kristin. Building a successful Livestream volunteer team, we asked the team members to tell us why they liked volunteering on the Livestream volunteer team, and this is what they said.
We represent 9 countries and 16 states in the United States. But it's a global thing. We get people from all over the world on our social media, and it's huge. We have people that we've gotten to know. So it's a live ministry itself. We have prayer right there. We send them links to the Bible College and also Andrew Womack Ministries. Because we're out there, we're the face of Charis Bible College and the face of Andrew Womack Ministries on the social media. And it's getting bigger.
If you want to be the face of Charis Bible College and Andrew Womack Ministries on social media, email socialmedia@awmi.net. In June, Carrie interviews Josh and Shannon Benson, who came to Charis because they always knew God had more for them than they had experienced. They were not disappointed. Find out how God is using them on the conference team at Andrew Womack Ministries and Charis Bible College to do more than they could have imagined. See you next time